Today we're going to be doing some equation of a line practice. So up to this point, we have learned what the different parts of an equation of a line mean. We've looked at how to graph a line given an equation. We've learned how to find the point of intersection by graphing two lines. We've learned how to calculate slope off of a graph and from 2 points. We've learned how to find y-intercept off of a graph and from slope and a point. We've also looked at yesterday how to find the equation of a line given a slope and a point. So today we are going to practice those skills. We are going to do 2 examples together, but if you find that there are things that you need to go over again, I would recommend that you go back and rewatch some of the videos from our last 2 weeks, or you can email me if you have questions. So our first question says, calculate the slope of the line that passes through 100, -10, and 50, -50. So the question is asking me to find slope. So there's 2 ways we've learned to find slope. You can either count it out off of a graph using delta y over delta x or rise over run, or you can calculate it using a formula that slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. These numbers are pretty large and I don't have a grid, so I'm thinking graphing is probably not the way I'm going to go on this. I am going to try to use the formula instead. So m, slope, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So every point has an x and a y value. So if I look at these points, the first number in both of those is an x, and the second point in each of them is the y. And then this is where you get to make a choice. You're going to pick one of them to be 0.1 and one of them to be 0.2. So I think I'm just going to let the first one be 1 and the second one be 2, but you could be wild and mix it up and let this be 0.1 and this be 0.2, your choice. So I'm going to take these numbers and substitute them into my equation. So m equals y2 is -50. Take away y1 is -10. I have to put that extra negative in for the 10, and then I'm going to put it in a bracket to show that I don't like having the 2 negative signs in a row. Okay, we are going to divide that by x2, which is 50. Take away x1, which is 100. Okay. I think the worst part about calculating some of these slopes are the negatives. So I have 2 negative signs in a row here, which I don't really like. So I'm going to simplify that to be -50 plus 10. If you want to do it on your calculator in one step, that is fine. If you can do it in your head in one step, that is also fine. 50 take away 100 is -50. Same thing, if you need to use a calculator to do that, go for it. -50 plus 10 is -40, and then that's divided by -50. So 40 divided by 50, 50 does not go evenly into 40. So I would get a decimal, and I don't want that. A negative divided by a negative makes a positive. So this is going to be positive. You could put a plus sign in if you want. You do not need to do that. And then I am going to try to reduce the fraction if I can. So I'll always check first to see, does 50 divide evenly into 40? Because if it does that, you should do that. And if not, I'm going to see if I can reduce. I notice they both end in a 0, so I am going to divide both of them by 10. So 40 divided by 10 is 4. And 50 divided by 10 is 5. Now you'll notice I didn't do -40 and -50 because I already dealt with those negatives in figuring out that it was going to be a positive answer. So our slope is positive 4 over 5. And that's what the question asked. So I'm going to say, therefore, the slope is, I'm going to leave out the positive sign. I'm just going to write it as 4 over 5. Okay, you can join me in the next video to do the next example.